The joke landed in the middle of the engagement party like a grenade with the pin already pulled. My fiancé's friends were laughing about her having a backup fiancé if I messed up. I laughed too, called it smart. Then I walked over to the backup, handed him the $100 engagement ring and said, "Tag in, buddy, she's all yours." The silence that followed was deafening. I'm 32. Or I was 32 and engaged to Maya, 29. We'd been together 4 years, living in my apartment for the last 18 months. My name was the only one on the lease. We got engaged 6 months ago. The ring itself had been a running joke between us, something we'd stumbled on at an artisan fair upstate. Simple, hammered sterling silver with a single clear cubic zirconia. Beautifully made, but it was silver and fake stone. Cost exactly $100. Maya loved it, said it was so us, that she didn't need a blood diamond. She insisted we buy it as the ring, with a promise we'd get something real for our 5-year anniversary. I thought it was cool. A sign she was practical, not materialistic. Spoiler: I was an idiot. Last night was our official engagement party, just close friends, maybe 15 people crammed into my apartment. The vibe felt off all night. Maya was glowing, but every time I came near her, she'd find a reason to walk away, or she'd be in a tight huddle with her friends Zara and Kim, whispering and giggling. Evan, 30, her old college best friend she'd been seeing a lot of lately for support, was practically attached to her hip. I'd brought it up before and got the classic reassurance. "You're just being paranoid. I'd never." He's like my brother. We were opening gifts, a nice blender, some towels. Then Zara, who was 3 or 4 glasses of Prosecco deep, stood up to make a toast. "To Maya and Liam," she slurred, holding her glass high. Everyone cheered. "Seriously, to Maya, she is the smartest woman I know." More cheers. "I mean, she's got it all figured out. A great job, a great guy." She winked at me. I smiled. "And she's so smart she even has a backup plan. Right, Evan?" The room went quiet. Not silent, but that awkward sharp inhale of 15 people at once. I looked at Maya. She was bright red, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at Evan, and she was smiling. A coy, pleased little smile. Evan, the absolute schmuck, smirked and raised his glass to her. Always Maya Bean. Zara, oblivious, plowed on. "I always tell her if Liam ever messes up, you've got Evan on the bench ready to go. It's our little joke." My stomach just bottomed out. It was like a movie scene where the sound drops out and a high-pitched whine comes in. Every little red flag from the past 6 months lined up in a perfect, mocking parade. The late nights she said were with the girls, but her phone location, which we shared, showed her in Evan's neighborhood. The constant texting, which she'd flip her phone over to hide. The brother lunches that lasted 3 hours. The way she'd stopped talking about wedding venues. They were all looking at me, waiting for my reaction to the joke. So I gave them one. I laughed. A loud, genuine-sounding laugh. "Zara, that is brilliant," I said, standing up. "Honestly, Maya, I'm impressed. A contingency plan. That's just smart risk management. You always have to have a plan B." Maya's smile faltered, her eyes narrowing. "Liam, what are you—" I held up a hand. "No, seriously, that's smart." I walked over to the coat rack where my jacket hung. I reached into the inner pocket and pulled out the little velvet box with the $100 ring. I'd taken it off her finger earlier to clean it for the party. I walked across the room, right past Maya, and stopped in front of Evan. He was still half smirking, looking confused. I held out the box. He just stared at it. "Tag in, buddy," I said, my voice perfectly level. "She's all yours." I didn't just hand it to him. I opened his limp hand and dropped the box into his palm. The silence that followed was deafening. You could have heard a pin drop on the carpet. Zara's mouth hung open. Maya's face had gone from rosy red to a sickly pale white. "Party's over, everyone," I said, projecting my voice to the whole room. "Thanks for coming. Please get out," Maya shrieked, finally finding her voice. "Liam, what are you doing? It was a joke, a stupid joke." I looked her dead in the eye. "Was it? Was it a joke when you were at his apartment last Tuesday, or the weekend I went to my parents'?" Her mouth snapped shut. I saw Evan's eyes widen. Oh, snap. He didn't know I knew that. Or maybe he didn't know she was lying to him too. Who cared? "Everyone out. Now." I moved to the door and held it open. People scrambled for their coats and shoes. Nobody making eye contact. It was like a bomb had gone off. Zara and Kim were trying to usher a sobbing Maya toward the door, but she was resisting. "I'm not leaving," she yelled. "This is my home. You can't do this." I kept my voice flat. "It's my apartment, Maya. You're not on the lease. You, Zara, Kim, and especially you, back up. Get out." Evan, to his credit, looked like he wanted to be anywhere else on earth. He put the ring box on the side table and practically ran out the door. Maya, Zara, and Kim were the last ones. "You are a monster, Liam," Zara spat. Kim added, "You're hysterical over nothing." Maya just stared at me, tears streaming down her face. "You're throwing away 4 years over a joke." I shook my head. "No, Maya. I'm saving myself a lifetime of being someone's plan A while they're auditioning plan B. Now get out." She finally left. I shut the door, locked the deadbolt, and put the chain on. That was 2 hours ago. My phone has been vibrating off the table. A mix of texts from her coven, and even her mom, who must have gotten the twisted "Liam's a psycho" version of events. I haven't read any of them. I'm just sitting in my living room surrounded by half-eaten snacks and discarded gift bags. I picked up the ring box from the table, just looking at it. Best $100 I ever spent. 3 days later. The last 72 hours have been a ride. The pounding on my door started about 10 minutes after I locked it. It was Maya, Evan the backup, he came back, and Zara. They were yelling. "Maya, Liam, open this door. You're being insane. You embarrassed me. We're not leaving until you talk to her. You controlling prick. Dude, just come out. We can talk. You're making her cry." I just sat on my couch, put on my noise-canceling headphones, and started a new game. After about 20 minutes of them screaming and banging, I took my headphones off, called the non-emergency police line, and reported a group of intoxicated individuals I'd just kicked out of a party who were refusing to leave my property and causing a disturbance. I put the phone on speaker and turned the volume up. The dispatcher's voice, "Sir, are you in immediate danger?" was loud enough to be heard through the door. The pounding stopped. I heard panicked whispering. "He's calling the cops." "Oh my God, let's go. Maya, come on, he's crazy." By the time I saw the patrol car's lights flash through my window, they were long gone. My phone was a nuclear core of notifications. I finally read them the next morning. It was a master class in gaslighting. Maya, 80+ texts, 15 missed calls. How could you do that to me in front of everyone? It was a joke. A stupid joke. You have serious trust issues. Fine, I'm at Evans. Are you happy now? You drove me to him. You're throwing away 4 years of memories. My mom is horrified. She can't believe you'd be so cruel. I'm coming to get my stuff tomorrow. We are going to talk. You didn't even let me explain. Evan is just a friend. You twisted everything. Zara's texts. You're a psycho, plain and simple. Maya is destroyed. She loves you. You're a monster. I hope you're happy alone. You insecure weirdo. Evan. Man, you really overreacted. It was a joke. You humiliated Maya for no reason. Not cool." I didn't reply, not to one text. Instead, I got to work. I blocked all of them. Maya, Evan, Zara, Kim, even Maya's mom who'd sent me a text saying, "Maya is a good girl. Whatever you think happened, you're wrong. Call her." 8 a.m. sharp. I had a locksmith at my door. New high-security deadbolt, new lock on the knob, cost me $280, worth it. I spent all of yesterday packing her stuff, every single thing, every tube of lipstick, every pair of shoes, all her clothes, her toiletries. I was methodical. I found things I'd bought her. I found little notes I'd written her. That part sucked, I won't lie. I had a moment. I sat on the floor of the closet for about 10 minutes and just felt empty. 4 years. But the anger came back pretty quick. I found a little framed photo of her and Evan from college on her desk. I packed that too. The furniture was tricky. She had 3 main pieces: a big antique-style vanity her aunt gave her, a bookshelf, and a $700 ergonomic chair she needed for her work-from-home setup. I'd paid for the chair on my credit card 6 months ago, and she swore she'd pay me back in installments. She'd paid exactly $0. Around 4 p.m. yesterday, the pounding started again. I looked through the peephole. It was Maya, alone this time. She looked furious. I opened the door, chain still on. She shoved at the door. "Liam, let me in. My key doesn't work." I kept my voice even. "I know, I changed the locks." Her eyes widened. "You what? You can't do that. This is my home. I have rights." I shook my head. "No, Maya, it's my apartment. You're not on the lease. You were a guest. You're not welcome anymore." Her voice pitched higher. "A guest? I've lived here for 2 years. You can't just evict me." I stayed calm. "I can, and I did. We're broken up." She was getting frantic. "You can't break up with me over a joke." "I'm getting my stuff." I nodded. "I've packed your personal belongings. They're in boxes by the door. You can schedule a time to come and pick them up. You'll have 30 minutes. You can take what's in the entryway, that's it." Her face went purple. "You packed my... You're unbelievable. Open this door." I didn't move. "No, schedule a time." She was shaking now. "What about my furniture, my vanity, my chair?" I paused. "The vanity is yours. It was a gift. The bookshelf is yours. The chair, I paid $700 for it. You agreed to pay me back. You haven't. You pay me the $700, you can have the chair." Her jaw dropped. "That's extortion. You're stealing from me. That's my work chair. I need it." I kept my tone flat. "Then you should have paid for it, or not had a backup fiancé." She was crying now, angry tears. "I'll call the cops. I'll tell them you're stealing my property." I shrugged. "Please do. I'd love to show them the lease and the credit card statement for the chair. Explain to them how your joke got you kicked out." "Go ahead, I'll wait." She stared at me, then stormed off, dialing her phone. 2 days after my last update, 2 police officers knocked on my door. I saw them coming through the peephole, so I was ready. Maya and Evan, the backup in his full glory, were waiting on the curb by their car like a little victim and hero combo. I opened the door. The older officer looked tired. "Sir, we received a call about a domestic dispute. A Miss Maya?" I nodded. "Hello, officers. There's no dispute. My ex-fiancée is outside. I broke up with her last week and she's been asked to leave." Maya shouted from the curb. "He locked me out. He stole my stuff. He has my expensive chair." The officer sighed, deep and weary. "Sir, you understand that if she's a resident, you can't just lock her out. That's an illegal eviction." I handed him the printed-out lease. "I completely understand, officer, which is why I have my lease right here. My name is the only one on it. She was my guest. Her driver's license, her bills, they all go to her parents' house. She never legally resided here. The officer scanned the document, then looked at Maya, then back at me. Okay, but she has property in the apartment. I gestured behind me. Yes, she does. 14 boxes of it, right here in the entryway. I've repeatedly offered to let her schedule a pickup. She refused and demanded full access to the apartment, which I'm not comfortable with. Maya yelled again. He's lying. He's keeping my work chair. It's worth $700. The officer looked at me. Sir, what about the chair? I handed him the credit card statement with the charge highlighted. Ah, yes, the chair is a disputed item. I purchased it on my credit card. She agreed to pay me back and never did. I've told her she can have it as soon as she pays me the $700 I'm owed. As far as I'm concerned, it's my chair until I'm reimbursed. The rest of her property, her clothes, her vanity, her bookshelf, is right here. She can take it right now. The cops looked at each other. The older one spoke into his radio. Dispatch, this is a civil matter. Property dispute. He looked back at me. Sir, we can't force you to give her the chair. That's for small claims court. But we can supervise a civil standby so she can retrieve her undisputed property. Are you agreeable to that? I nodded. Absolutely. Thank you, officer. The next 20 minutes were the most awkwardly silent, high-tension moments of my life. The two cops stood in my open doorway. I stood in the living room. Evan and Maya had to walk, trip by trip, taking the 14 boxes, the bookshelf disassembled, and the vanity, which was a pain. Maya was ugly, crying the entire time. Sobs, hiccups, the whole performance. Evan just looked angry and kept glaring at me. As he picked up the last box, he muttered, "You're a real piece of work, man. Just give her the chair." I kept my voice even. "You're welcome to Venmo me the $700 and take it yourself. Back up." The older officer barked a single short laugh. Evan's face went bright red. He grabbed the box and stormed out. Maya turned at the door. "This isn't over, Liam. You're a thief." I nodded. "Okay, Maya, have a good night." I closed the door. The cops gave me a nod and left. I thought that was it. I really did. I was wrong. The entitlement just found a new, more dangerous path. Yesterday, I got a call from my landlord, Mark. "Hey, Liam, weird question, but is everything okay over there?" I kept my tone light. "Hey, Mark, yeah, why? Just a messy breakup, but it's handled." He sighed. "Well, I'm asking because I've gotten 3 anonymous calls to the management office in the last 24 hours. All concerned tenants." My blood went cold. Concerned about what? He hesitated. First one was about constant screaming and arguments. The second was about a strange chemical smell from your vents. And the one I just got 10 minutes ago was about suspected illegal drug activity and a lot of strange men coming and going. I couldn't speak for a moment. He continued, "Look, Liam, you've been a perfect tenant for 5 years. I know this is crap. I know you. But you gotta understand, the corporate office freaks out about this. Drug activity is the magic word. They've already told me I have to schedule a formal unit inspection for next week, and if I get one more call, they're going to push for an eviction notice based on violation of the community safety clause. This wasn't just a smear campaign. This was an attack on my home, my life. She was trying to get me evicted. Mark, it's my ex. I swear to you, she's retaliating because I kicked her out after she... Well, it's a long story, but it's all lies." He sounded genuinely sympathetic. "I believe you. I really do. But my hands are tied. I have to do the inspection. And please, whatever this is, make it stop. I don't want to lose you as a tenant, but they'll go over my head." I hung up, and for the first time, I was genuinely scared. This wasn't about a chair anymore. This was a burn-it-all-down tactic. I immediately called a local lawyer's office and paid $350 for a 1-hour consultation. I explained everything. The backup joke, the police report, which I got a copy of, and the calls to my landlord. The lawyer was grim. She said this was classic vindictive ex behavior. Her advice, cease and desist. She'd draft a formal cease and desist letter to be sent via certified mail to Maya at her parents' house, Evan and Zara, whose address I unfortunately knew. The letter would detail the incident, the false police report, and the harassment campaign via anonymous defamatory calls to my landlord. It would state that any further contact, direct or indirect, or any more anonymous calls would be treated as evidence in a forthcoming civil suit for harassment, defamation, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I was also to send a formal written email to my landlord and CC his corporate office, summarizing my breakup, stating that I was being targeted by a campaign of harassment and false defamatory reports by my ex-fiancé as retaliation, and attaching a copy of the cease and desist letter to show I was handling it legally. This would create a paper trail protecting me, so that was my life now. I was out $350 for a lawyer and $280 for a locksmith. My landlord thought my apartment was a drug den, and I had to have a formal inspection next week. All because I wouldn't play along with a joke. The nerve of these people. To be the ones in the wrong, and then to try to ruin my life as punishment for me not letting them. I wasn't even angry anymore, I was just cold. This wasn't a breakup. This was a war I didn't ask for, but I was damn well going to finish it. 2 months later, it's over. Thank God, it's finally over. I'm sitting in my apartment. It's clean, it's quiet, and I passed the inspection with flying colors. Mark, my landlord, was super apologetic about it. My lawyer sent the cease and desist letters via certified mail. All 3 were signed for, and just like that, silence. The calls to my landlord stopped instantly. The concerned tenants evaporated. It's amazing what a letter with a real lawyer's letterhead can do. The threat of a civil harassment suit was enough to make the coven scatter. My email to the corporate office with the cease and desist attached also worked. I got a very polite, very formal email back saying they considered the false reports to be a closed matter. About a week after the letters went out, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Evan. Listen, I'm out. This whole thing is crazy. Maya is nuts." I just stared at the text. I didn't reply. About 10 minutes later, another one came. "She's been staying with me and she's a nightmare. She wanted me to call your landlord again and say, 'I saw you with a gun.' I'm not doing that. I'm not getting arrested for her. I told her to get out. I'm done. Sorry for my part in this." So, the backup plan folded the second it involved actual risk or any personal cost. He was happy to be the smug, smirking side piece, but he wasn't willing to be an accomplice to a serious crime. The $100 ring was apparently too high a price. Life was quiet for almost a month. I was just healing. Then last night my phone rang, an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello?" A woman's voice. "Liam, it's Helen, Maya's mom." My blood pressure instantly spiked. "Helen, I'm surprised to hear from you." She sighed. "Yes, well, Liam, I know things ended badly. I'm not calling to rehash that." I waited. "Okay, what can I do for you?" She hesitated. "Look, Maya, she's not doing well. She had to move back home. Evan, well, he was not a nice boy. She's just so distraught. She's trying to get her freelance work going again, but..." She trailed off. I said nothing. "It's her back, Liam. She's in so much pain. She can't sit at her desk for more than an hour. That ergonomic chair you have. She said it was the only one that ever worked for her." I almost laughed. It was so pathetic. After everything, after trying to get me evicted, after trying to get me arrested, the play was to send her mom to guilt me over a chair. Helen, I'm sorry to hear her back hurts. That's a shame. Her tone shifted, more pointed. She said you were just keeping it out of spite. I kept my voice level. I'm keeping it because I paid $700 for it on my credit card. She agreed to pay me back and she never paid a single cent. I'm not running a charity, and I'm definitely not giving a $700 gift to a person who tried to get me kicked out of my home. Another long sigh. This one was more frustrated. Fine. How much? I blinked. $700. She scoffed. That's ridiculous. It's a used chair. I shrugged, even though she couldn't see. That's the price. It's the price I paid. It's the price she agreed to pay. Honestly, Helen, I'm being generous. I should be charging for storage and the emotional distress. A long, angry silence on her end. I could hear her breathing. Can I Venmo you? I was genuinely surprised. Yes, you can. My Venmo is... I gave her the handle.